In this video, I'm gonna go over the best tips to dominate Season 4 of Apex Legends. It doesn't have to be impossible to get the high kill games that you're looking for. During this video, I'm not gonna just waste our time by telling you a bunch of things that you already know. Some of these tips throughout the video will be original to this video and you won't find them anywhere else. So my people, if you're looking to dominate Apex Legends, this is the video for you. I'm Alarmix, and let's get into the video. So the first thing on my list, I have not seen anyone talk about this before, and this might sound a little bit strange, but you know, sometimes you go to play Apex Legends and you're just not really feeling it that day. And to be honest, pretty much everyone dismisses that as just something that's random. But guys, before you play Apex Legends, if you really want a leg up on the other players, if you want to perform like an athlete, like an esports athlete, you have to treat your body like an athlete would. And by this, I mean you kind of have to watch what you eat just a little bit if you want a leg up on the other players. This might just sound a little bit sweaty, guys, but this is a tip video, and I believe this is one of the quickest ways to drastically improve your Apex game. So what I mean by watch what you eat, I think the quickest and easiest way to attack this, to be honest, is just to kind of stop eating sugar. Like, you guys don't have to stop eating sugar, but if you really want to improve your Apex Legends game, maybe just avoid sugar before you play. Real athletes, and I've actually looked into this quite a bit, one of the main things that real athletes do is they just basically avoid sugar altogether, because if you go eat a bunch of candy and then go play Apex Legends, you're gonna have a pretty horrible sugar crash, and people are most likely gonna stomp you. All of the time I'm playing with people and they're just saying, you know, oh, today isn't my day. I'm just not really feeling it today. I'm guessing that when this happens, it is either sleep or they were really not treating their bodies very well. So if you guys want to eat like a real athlete would, you know, eat the high nutrients meals or whatever, you don't have to do that, but if you do that and maybe get a little bit of caffeine going in your system, you're definitely gonna have a huge advantage over everyone else in that lobby. And guys, I cannot really stress how important this one is. The couple of best games that I've ever had on Apex Legends, I wasn't even really warmed up. I didn't really have that great of teammates. I didn't run into a bunch of noobs. I was just feeling really good there and then because I treated my body really good that day. So yeah, if you guys try this, this is probably the most important tip you will ever hear. So now moving on, recently in Apex Legends, they took away a lot of the muzzle flash away from the guns in the game. It used to be as you were lasering kids with guns like the R301, at range, the muzzle flash and the hit markers just completely covered up the character. So with this muzzle flash being taken away, if you want to take another step towards clarity of seeing your enemies while you're actually hitting them, you can actually go into your settings and turn off hit markers for enemies. So I can kind of compare the difference between when you have hit markers on and then when you turn hit markers off. I found that right as I turn hit markers off, my aim did improve quite a bit. Also now there's a setting to where if you're trying to go into a box to armor swap, if you get hit, it won't actually take you out of that loot box. So make sure to go into settings to turn this taking damage closes death box menu to off. And another quick setting, I highly recommend you to turn this weapon auto cycle on empty to off. Most people, when they're getting low on bullets, they pay attention to how many they have left. And then once they in fact do run out of bullets, they'll swap over. So I'm guessing for the majority of you out there, it's just better to turn the setting to off. Moving on to my next tip. When you are using a close range gun, say like the Peacekeeper, the R99, when you are using this close range weapon, make sure you get as close as possible to the opponent as the situation allows. So if your squad is fighting another squad at mid range, it's probably not best to go push up without your squad. But say if you are in something like a 1v1, or you just have the opportunity to push close to the other players, if you are using a gun like the R99 or the Peacekeeper, it really is the closer the better. If you have an R99 and the person you're fighting against has an R301, the further away you are from that person, the more of an advantage the other person gets. So if you go push up into the face of someone who has an R301 and you have an R99, I mean, as long as your aim is decent, that should be a pretty easy win. So often I see people use something like the R99 or the Peacekeeper at too far of a range. Like, bruh, if you can get close and the situation allows it, go way up to that person and just shove your barrel right into the face and pull the trigger. Okay, just a couple of disclaimers though. You want to keep cover, so don't completely bail on your cover to get super close. But I mean, it might be okay to do it if there is only one person. Okay, my next best tip for Season 4 of Apex Legends. You guys should know this by now. Do not solo queue. I mean, it makes things quite a bit more difficult. It is so much better to find a squad that works with you, so you don't have to worry about a bunch of trash randoms that don't do anything whatsoever. You might think that random has your back, but really they might be some 8-year-old that is so terrible who just started playing the game and your back might actually be wide open. It helps people develop their skills so significantly if you can find people you can rely on. A lot of people out there, I can already hear you. You're saying, I don't have friends. I don't have anyone to play with. And for you, you're probably thinking that right now. There's a pretty good chance you're thinking that right now. Go join the Apex Legends Discord server. Of course, you guys know there will be a link in the description. The Apex Legends Discord server, I use it a lot. It is super convenient because right at the snap of your fingers, right as you need someone to play with, you can go to one of the LFG pages for whatever platform you may be on. And there are constantly, right now, there are a bunch of people looking to find someone to play with. So yeah, guys, please don't solo queue. If you don't have a Discord account, make one. Discord is really great. And while you're at it, joining the Discord server of Apex Legends, I'm gonna put a link to my Discord server in the description. I actually have a face reveal on my Discord server. So yes, guys, please do not solo queue. You'll be a better Apex Legends player if you find a good squad. Moving on now, speaking about things that involve the squad, make sure you guys are always pinging good things that you find to your squad mates. When you're always pinging things, it opens up a pretty good level of communication with your squad, because if you guys are not pinging good things that you find around, when you get into gunfights, there is a much higher chance that people will not be calling out people and actually marking the enemies. And I've really noticed that when I go in with a brand new squad from the Discord server, or really anybody in general, and I don't start pinging things, my squad mates don't start pinging things, then when we get into a gunfight, people really aren't doing very good callouts or callouts at all, and people really aren't marking enemies. So yeah, good communication with your squad just starts by pinging things, different loot items that you find around. Also, make sure you guys are always going into your inventory and checking in the bottom left-hand corner what kind of gear your teammates have, because guys, what really goes around comes around. Finding better gear for your teammates will in fact definitely help you in the future, because if you are low on light ammo and your teammate does not have a backpack, chances are they will not have very much to spare, if at all. And also, if you just find one level higher of armor for your teammates, it's definitely going to add to your squad's health pool, and it will easily give you a better chance to win upcoming gunfights. Now we're moving on to the next tip, and this one also does involve loot. So when you guys land in a match, say you land in Skyhook or wherever you may land, and there aren't people there, do not spend too long looting. Okay guys, just in general, do not spend too long looting. And what I mean by this is don't spend too long looting just like buildings or loot bins. Like, you have to fight for loot. It'll make things go so much quicker, and you will get so much better loot through the game if off the bat you can find squads to fight and take their loot. Now please don't go into gunfights with no armor and a P2020 or a Mozambique. Like, when you drop into a game, you know, find a good shield, find a decent enough weapon, and then go push other squads and take their loot, because all of this stuff will really snowball. If you spend the entire game just looting buildings, chances are by the end of the game you will not have the greatest loot. So if you get right off the bat and go push another squad, you're gonna get some pretty decent loot off the bat, and then your squad is gonna be set off way better than other squads who went and landed at little abandoned places that no one lands at and just looted the entire game. You guys all know that if you get set up pretty well right away, you will be able to push a ton of squads, and you will have a pretty good chance at winning against squads that are actually better than you. And please guys, it's just gonna help you get better at the game quicker if you're getting into as many gunfights as possible. You don't have to be super aggro, but taking this general approach of not looting the entire game from buildings and bins, it's gonna be a pretty great way to approach this game. So y'all, moving on to the next tip. Even when the entire game is on the line, you know, you're fighting two squads at once, your teammates are depending on you, one of them fell down, you're playing with people that are way better than you, even in these super stressful situations, you guys have to realize that Apex Legends, it's just a game. You have to take deep breaths and just focus up, because if you get downed and your squad loses, I mean, it really doesn't matter. Even if you went into this game and you're saying, okay, I'm gonna become MLG right now, or even if you're a really good player and you just get absolutely demolished, you guys have a long time to get better at this game, and you really shouldn't stress it if you actually get killed. Alrighty, moving on to my next tip, I just want to address something really quickly. I think that high sensitivities in FPSs are really overrated. If you guys are struggling with your aim, or you guys are trying to find the right sensitivity, I really believe that you should start low and work your way up, because if you start low and work your way up, you will realize as the higher you go, really in general, your aim will decrease, while your reaction times to people flanking you from your left, right, or behind may go down. In most situations in Apex, through my long hours of experience, you will be ready for gunfights, and you do not need super high sensitivity to react back to that. So like I said, if you're kind of struggling with your aim or if it's not really good yet, I would recommend trying a low sensitivity. Alrighty guys, and speaking of aim, everything that we're doing here, we're transitioning with speaking of. A lot of people, unlike me, they actually need quite a bit of time to warm up. Like when I go into a game with squad mates, they say, you know, that they're still warming up, and they do in fact warm up, I can tell. But I'm kind of a person that I don't really need to warm up. In fact, usually my first few games on are my best games, and then I just keep on getting worse for the night, which I don't know, that's a pretty special case I am. But if you people are one of those guys that you need a decent amount of time to warm up, I highly recommend you to go into firing range and use just a couple of different guns and do a couple of these different things I'm going to show you. So preferably to warm up, you want to use something like the R99, a full auto weapon, or maybe even the wingman. I mean, you guys can choose, but I'm going to show you guys with the R99 and the wingman. So you guys, when you're warming up, I think one of the most important things to do is just to practice kind of the flick on your aim. So just going from target to target and focus on getting as close to the middle of that target as you can. And then with the R99, I believe you should just practice at different ranges, just sort of melting the dummies. And then with the wingman, I have a pretty cool drill for you. I actually do this quite a bit. I go up to these little targets that actually kick back, and I go to the right side, then the left side, then the middle target, and then I just do this repeatedly. So if you're a person who really needs to warm up, and especially if you are going to play ranked matches, it'll help you warm up so much faster. Just go into firing range, because when you're playing Apex Legends, there's a good chance that a pretty good large sum of your match you actually won't be shooting guns. So, you know, speaking of the firing range, most people have a couple of gun weaknesses inside of the game. Sometimes I've met people who will only touch guns like the R99, the R301, and I mean, I have been there. Most of the pro players, they can go drop into a building, they can get really bad guns, but they'll still perform really well, and that will happen to you. You'll drop into a building and you'll get terrible guns, and a lot of people, they'll just say, you know, it's game over, I have this gun that I'm really bad with. Okay, if you are bad with a gun, just go into firing range and just practice using it. So if you have more than one gun weakness, I honestly would just recommend trying to get better with one gun at a time. So, you know, if you're really weak with one gun, I'm guessing if you just practice in firing range for a total of 1 hour, maybe over the span of a week, or however long you actually want to practice, it's up to you. I wouldn't go try to use all of your weaknesses all at once in one day, but if you just practice, say you're not very good with the wingman, just before you start playing every day, just go into the firing range for 5 or 10 minutes and practice on using the wingman. I've been there, I've done that, and I got so much better with the wingman. And guys, even the gold crate weapons such as the Mastiff, you know, the Devotion, the Kraber, chances are you do not actually get a lot of opportunities to use those guns, so it can benefit you quite significantly for that time where you actually do get the opportunity to use the gun if you just go kind of practice up a little bit in the firing range. Now next guys, this would not be a best tips video without talking at least a little bit about strafing. I'm gonna try to make this pretty concise and to the point. So you guys, while you're practicing in firing range or warming up, it is super important that you develop a good strafing habit. This is an FPS, and it's just basically a competition of who can hit who with the most bullets first. And strafing, it's incredibly huge. So talking about medium range, when you're at the medium range, you should try to strafe at least a little bit. You should try to be a little bit unpredictable. I think at medium range, it's more important just to focus on your aim and then have your strafing be more of a secondary thought. Don't try to do super crazy strafing stuff at mid-range. That could possibly throw off your aim significantly unless you've practiced it or you know you're already good with it. But I mean, I'm not trying to diss it. Strafing at mid-range, it's still pretty important. But then when you guys get into those close range fights, I think it's so much important to do just crazy strafing and really try to be creative and outmaneuver the enemy, because if you are too slow and too predictable at close range, they're gonna shove their gun down your face. And I really think that close range fights a lot of times are just battles of maneuverability and not so much as aim. And you probably already know this, but things like pistols, shotguns, and SMGs, you can actually ADS strafe pretty quickly. But then things like LMGs, assault rifles, and snipers, you cannot strafe very quickly. So if you have an assault rifle or an LMG and you're in a close range gunfight, I would highly recommend you to not aim down sights. If you have an assault rifle or an LMG, it is so much better if you hip fire and just try to be unpredictable at close range. If you have an SMG, a pistol, or a shotgun, you can get away sometimes with aiming down sights at close range. But with LMGs and assault rifles, you're just going to give up way too much movement, and you don't strafe fast at all. When you have an LMG or an assault rifle, you're pretty much a sitting target and you're super easy to hit. Alrighty guys, and just to add on top of strafing a little bit, sometimes sometimes I'll go up against enemies and their strafing method is just to go left and right really quickly, and you aren't actually moving very much by doing that. So if you're one of those people, if you just happen to be one of those people, if you cut that out of your game, you're gonna see a drastic improvement. Alrighty guys, I've played a lot of this game before. On console, I had about 4,000 kills with Bangalore, and here on PC, I have about 2,500 kills with Bangalore. So there's definitely more experienced people than me, but easily one of the best tips I can give you from all of my experience. You guys just have to be consistent with how often you play. Do not take a week off. Do not take days off. If you guys are really busy and you just hop into the firing range for 20 minutes that day, if you are really looking to sweat as much as possible and to have as much of a leg up on other enemies as possible, if you try your best to play daily, you guys are going to be smoking. It's going to be pretty great. I remember right around Christmas time when the Winter Express event was out, I pretty much played every day of Christmas vacation. That was really the only time I was playing this game daily. And I mean, please guys, I mean, I was absolutely smoking. I was pretty new to PC at that time, but playing daily, I should start playing daily again now because, I mean, people who play daily, they're just better, guys. Alrighty, moving on to the next tip. This is getting to be a pretty long video, but I'm gonna be wrapping it up pretty soon. If the game is not going your way, if you're getting killed, you're not getting very many kills, or you're getting frustrated with this game in any way, you guys please do me a favor, do not rage, stop playing Apex Legends, take a step back, and you know, go get something to eat, go do something else for a little bit, you know, just 10-15 minutes at the minimum, and when you come back, there is a very high chance you guys will be playing better. This is something I do all of the time when I'm playing Apex Legends, and if you do not do it consistently, you should definitely try doing it. My very last tip on this long video, you have to know the best guns in the game. You know, it's okay if you use guns like the triple take, just know that you'll be at a disadvantage in most situations versus some of the other guns in the game. So I actually made an entire video talking about the best guns in the game. So I will link that in the description, and I will actually put a card up on screen right now for you in the top right hand corner. So if you guys click on that, you will be ready to pick up the best weapons in the game when you see them, and you won't have to think twice. So alrighty guys, that will about wrap up this video. I will remind you to join my Discord server again. I have a face reveal of me just sitting here at my setup talking about things, and I also made some mock presidential ad commercial, and I put it on my Discord server in the About Me tab. So guys, make sure to go check that out if you want to see what your boy Alarmix be looking like. Subscribe to the channel because I'm gonna be making some more tip videos just like this to get you better at Apex Legends. That will be about it for me, the Alarmix, and I'll see you guys later.